2016 was a typical year for sports. Some great championship games, some events that didn't live up to the hype, some surprises, some disappointments, and the Cleveland Browns making us laugh over and over again. There was plenty to celebrate in 2016. The Rio Summer Olympics were a blast. Peyton Manning got to ride off into the sunset. However, there was also a lot in 2016 that was just terrible. I'm Justin Fraction, and today we dive into the 10 most epic sports failures of 2016. Number 10, 75% of EPLs Big Four clubs. As all soccer fans know, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Manchester United were the Big Four of EPL soccer from the late 90s throughout the 2000s and much of the 2010s. In 2016, Arsenal enjoyed a second-place finish in the EPL. But the other Big Four clubs were laughingstocks. Manchester United finished in 5th place, 15 points out of first. Liverpool finished 8th with just 60 points, and Chelsea finished 10th with 50 points. All three teams got off to strong starts in the 2016-17 season, but 2015-16 was a failure for those squads. Number 9, Cleveland Browns. We know they should be number 1, but it's too obvious. A possible 0-16 season on the horizon. And they used how many quarterbacks again? It would have been nice to see our G3 possibly emerge as the franchise savior. Back to a top 3 pick for the Browns, and that's usually not good news. Trent Richardson, anyone? Number 8, Cleveland Indians in the World Series. They led the Chicago Cubs 3-1 in the World Series. They needed one more win to capture their first World Series championship since 1948. Then it came down to Game 7 with the Indians needing one more big swing. You know the rest. The Indians failed big time. Chicago completed their epic comeback and ended their 108-year World Series drought instead. Number 7, San Francisco Giants bullpen. The Giants won the World Series in 2010, 12, and 14. Notice a pattern? It was an even year, therefore they were expected to beat the Chicago Cubs in the 2016 NLDS and eventually win the World Series. While the Giants' bullpen blew through 32 leads in the regular season, which was the worst in baseball, trailing the Cubs 2-1. In the NLDS, they appeared poised to force a winner-take-all Game 5. The Giants took a 5-2 lead into the ninth, but their bullpen found a beautiful yet ugly way to give up 4 runs and lose the lead, the game, the series, and their chance at putting a cherry on top of a dynasty. Number 6, all 7 Canadian NHL teams. Usually a Canadian NHL team makes the playoffs. In 2015, 5 of 7 teams north of the border had qualified for the postseason. But in 2016, none. The Montreal Canadiens were among the NHL's elite teams for the first 2 months of the season, until they faltered after Carey Price went down with an MCL sprain. For the first time in 46 years, no Canadian team made the playoffs. Canadian teams held 6 of the top 10 draft selections in 2016. And to the surprise of no one, NHL playoff ratings were ridiculously sad and awful in Canada. Number 5, Maria Sharapova. Sharapova has won every major tennis championship, including 2 French Open championships. One of the greatest tennis stars in the world, everything came crashing down this year. She tested positive for meldonium, a banned substance prior to the 2016 Australian Open. She originally received a 2-year suspension, but it was reduced to a year and 3 months. Maria, you made tennis really cool to watch, and then you ruined your career. We are officially very upset. You made our list. Number 4, MLB aces on the move. The Boston Red Sox signed David Price to a 7-year deal worth $217 million. The perennial superstar had a round-of-forgettable year. He posted a 3.99 ERA, his worst by a mile since 2009. He surrendered 30 home runs, which was the worst of his career, and his 1.20 whip was the worst in a season since 2009. Big waste of money for Boston. The Arizona Diamondbacks signed Zach Greinke to a 6-year deal worth $206.5 million. His 4.37 ERA and 23 home runs allowed were his worst in 11 years. Disastrous contract for Arizona. James Shields, who was once a very solid starter, posted a woeful 6-19 record and 5.85 ERA after splitting time with San Diego and Chicago. Lesson to MLB teams, be careful what you pay for. Number 3, NFL officiating. Okay, we know a lot of people hate Cam Newton, but it's rather silly how the NFL refs seem to turn a blind eye to guys headhunting him. And every single game, NFL refs miss obvious holding calls, don't call obvious pass interference, or sometimes call pass interference when a guy is breathed on. It's so bad that some people, namely the New Orleans Saints head coach Sean Payton, called for full-time officials, which the NFL has agreed upon. No referee is perfect, but we've once again seen too many missed calls or horrible calls that have determined the outcomes of games. Number 2, Brock Osweiler. Hard to think that Osweiler was a failure when he was a Super Bowl 50 champion with the Denver Broncos and got $72 million over 4 years from the Houston Texans. But Osweiler led Denver to a 4-2 record while he replaced a beaten-up 39-year-old Peyton Manning. Then he lost the job to Manning in Week 17 and never got it back, as Denver won the Super Bowl with the Sheriff. Osweiler spurned the Broncos and joined Houston. Through his first 12 games with the Texans, Osweiler had 14 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. His poor accuracy has many claiming he's ruined the talents of DeAndre Hopkins. Houston, you have a problem. And number 1 Golden State Warriors can't become the team. The Warriors set a record with 73 wins in 2015-16. Stephen Curry won his second straight league MVP, and the Dubs once again reached the NBA Finals. All they had to do was beat the Cleveland Cavaliers for a chance to become the best team ever. The Warriors led the finals 3-1. They then lost games 5 and 6, but they would close it out in game 7, right? Wrong. LeBron James took over the show from games 5 through 7, and the Cavaliers won their first ever NBA championship. Golden State failed to cement their legacy as the best franchise ever. Meanwhile, Cleveland won its first sports championship in 52 years. What other sports failures in 2016 should we have included? You know what to do in the comments below. Join us! If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps us out a ton and we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to Total Pro Sports though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.